unpack. The story that broke overnight was the removal of our finance minister, Nhlanhla Nene. The rand plummeted against major international currencies yesterday evening, and this happened shortly after our President Jacob Zuma announced the removal of Nene. By around about 20 minutes past 9 last night, the rand was trading at 16 rand 34 against the euro. That is down 2.74%, and it was 22 rand 50 against the pound. That's down 2.5%. The rand down 1.3% against the greenback at 14 rand and 83 cents. That's more this morning. It did break through 15 rand at one stage. Well, to help us unpack the effects on the market and also to get his opinion on the removal of our finance minister, we've got in studio with us Economist Christ Hart. Chris, welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you in studio. What did you make of this? I mean, did this come as a major shock as it did to the rest of us?
And the decision was strange because Nene has not been in the position for long and has actually generated quite a lot of confidence in himself and the ministry while he's there. He obviously brings a lot of institutional memory. He was Deputy Minister of Finance before that, and of course he took over Pravin Gordhan's shoes and now being pushed out for an unknown. And when I say unknown, from a point of view of the financial markets perspective, the new minister is not known. So I really do wish him well because he's got a lot of work to actually gain, for the markets to gain confidence in him quite quickly because it needs to be settled down. The rand's dynamic is interesting because with the downgrade by S&P to a negative outlook, now you've got the prospect of a credit rating downgrade. This comes at a critical stage of our economy. That downgrade takes us into junk status. So immediately you've got a dynamic in the financial markets where the normal natural inflows now are more hesitant because what if there's a downgrade? And of course there's the possibility of some funds preempting a possible downgrade by starting to lighten their load in South Africa. And we sit with a current account deficit that is quite big that needs to be funded.
Yeah.
And then of course the government's deficit itself needs to be funded. And when the rand weakens, the bond yields rise, which of course raises the government financing, and you can get into a negative spiral. At the same time, the US are about to raise interest rates themselves, and that is generating what we call a risk-off event globally. So you've got a number of headwinds for the rand that the rand is struggling against.
Yeah.
And we've seen this happen before, where suddenly what's been trading in a steady thing suddenly falls apart, and then the rand accelerates almost into free fall. And we saw that in 1998, 2001, 2008 as well, where just suddenly the rand goes from a particular level, several rand weak, and we don't want to see that, especially if it's starting off at the 15 rand level.
Because we're already in exceptionally difficult times right now when it comes to our currency, when it comes to the economy. And as you say, I mean, the downgrades by all of these ratings agencies is hurting us. But my question to you is, did the finance minister do anything wrong? From an economist's position, do you think he deserved to be removed?
One would look at it and say, right, the budget is in difficulty. There's certain constraints. They are, you could say, the gatekeepers of money in the government, because obviously if you can, if you've got the leeway to spend what you can on what you want, people will do so. So the Treasury has to actually provide that gatekeeper role. And there were certain things that they were actually putting. Nuclear is fine to talk about politically, but have you seen the reality of the numbers? And so we say, just hold back on that. So they're restraining the exuberance over nuclear, thank goodness, because nuclear will take us to a solvency and bankruptcy position. All right. There's other areas that they're also showing. National health is another area that will take us to insolvency if we just blunder ahead. The parastatals, if they don't rein in there, they need hundreds of billions in capital. If they're not reined in, right, that's going to also place pressure at this, while they're trying to control the expenditure side. On the so-called revenue or the tax take side, the tax base itself is in deficit. Right, so it's not a case of that you can ramp up spending and say, right, there's deep resource that you can tap to actually cover that resource or that spending. We are in a difficult position as a result, and all of these things, you take that break away, and we'll see a downgrade by June, not even by December.
Yeah.
All right. And when we go, and if we do head to solvency crisis, the rand's not at 15, it's not at 18, it's at 30 or something like that. And this is what we've got to be guard against. We need to turn that ship so that one generates investor confidence. Not just foreign investor confidence, but local investor confidence is a critical factor. We need to be building more investors. In other words, we need to be building more reserves in households, right? So that you've got more households that are investors in our economy going forward. And we're not doing that. We're actually defining the solutions as the problems, and we're defining the problems as solutions. And that means that when we actually get into crisis, we'll actually accelerate into it.
All right. Chris Hart, I don't want to, but I have to leave it there for this morning, because I know there is so much more to discuss when it comes to this announcement and this breaking news overnight. But we do have to get your sports news to you. A little bit of time left for Valen, just to give us the top stories this morning. Valen, it's over to you.